All right, I have got a lot to cover. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to go over right off the bat 3 reasons why the Bitcoin move has stalled out. We're going to get into some deeper conversations about, are we still in the Bitcoin bull run? Are we going to have an altcoin season? I have done so much research for this video, and so I've got a lot to unwind. I'm going to talk about momentum indicators. I'm actually going to give price predictions for my top altcoins today. I'm going to describe the difference between these price prediction models, just to share and put into perspective, because you hear various people talk about where a coin can reach. I'm going to explain to you which each of the prevailing models are predicting for coins that you guys might own and why they are or are not realistic. And so much to unpack here. I've got Mark in the background. I'm going to pull him up and welcome him to the show. Hey, Mark, how are you doing today?
Good, Josh. Thanks so much. Great to be back again. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for being here. So right off the bat, and Mark, feel free to chime in, but right off the bat, there are 3 principal reasons that Bitcoin has stalled out. And the first one I'm going to describe as disappointment in Trump. Now, don't get political with me. The fact of the matter is that a lot of the Bitcoin pump that we got above 100K or to 100K and above was directly surrounding the idea that he was going to potentially make Bitcoin a reserve currency. And there's been nothing but uncertainty as to exactly what he's going to do. The emphasis came off of Bitcoin and went onto a basket of cryptos. And then the Trump coin came out and you're like, what exactly is he doing? And it really caused the entire crypto market to take a step back because the message wasn't clear. So if I'm going to give you 3 reasons, but truthfully, that's the only reason. That's the main reason, is the market's waiting. It wanted more clarity from Donald Trump. It expected more clarity from him. And since he took the office of the White House, it's become more unclear. So don't fill my comment section with pro-Trump nor bashing Trump, but that is the fact right now with crypto, is that we got to a wall when President Trump took office because we were expecting so much more. Number 2 reason is inflation concerns and the fact that the Fed has backed away from cutting rates because that would dry up liquidity and make things more difficult. And you got to remember, back in the 2021 bull run, we were aflush with liquidity and low rates. And so it was a perfect environment for altcoins and Bitcoin to just go crazy high and to run and reach their tippy top points. We don't have that right now. Matter of fact, we've got the opposite. Looking down the barrel of 2025, we've got a Fed who said, I'm going to hold rates higher for longer. And so that's a pretty big concern, and so it must be listed. Number 3 concern is the fact that I gave this fact either in the Discord or in a video recently. I think it was around 90 plus, but 95% of all crypto holders, between 90 and 95%, are in profit on Bitcoin. And so we were all getting ready to go into the parabolic phase, which I acknowledge and have communicated to you was technically confirmed when the November candle closed. People were deep in profits on Bitcoin, and then it stalled. It just came to a dead halt. And here's the problem with that. When the momentum left the room, you got all these people that are sitting on big fat profit in altcoins and Bitcoin. And as it slowly creeps down, it's giving them a lot of time to feel like, well, hey, maybe I should lock in these gains. The big question of the idea of the Bitcoin top being in, has emerged and become a popular topic. Is the Bitcoin top in? And so the idea that Bitcoin has entered back into a moment of consolidation has caused people to say, hey, I'm just going to play it safe and I'm going to lock in some of these fat gains on Bitcoin. But those are your top 3 reasons. It's Trump, it's inflation, and profit is what's caused the market to cool off and leave a bunch of question marks in front of us as we stare at our charts. Before I move on, I'm going to break down Bitcoin's momentum profile. Okay, it's not going to be too techy, but it's going to be techy enough that it's super interesting for you guys. But before I move on, I'm going to let Mark comment on what I just shared. Anything that you would add or subtract from what I said, Mark?
Yeah, I think that was really good. I would add to that also, the leverage market. Like we did the video on that Sunday, I remember, and we gave all those low targets for everybody. And then all of a sudden, 15 minutes later, we were talking after the video and all those targets were getting hit. And there were billions of dollars that were wiped out in leverage. And so a lot of people lost money leverage trading, too high leverage, and that money's out of the market now. So I would add to that. And I'd also say the Libra token scandal, 4 billion of market cap wiped out just like that. And a few of the other ones that have come out. So I think that's pulled liquidity out of the market as well. Add to that, Josh, there was 600,000 new altcoins added to the market just in the last month. So I think that doesn't help either. There's been liquidity pulled. But there are some positive things I want to add there because, Trump has come out recently saying he is planning, there is works in motion to remove the capital gains tax on Bitcoin and crypto investments. Now, does crypto investments mean made in the USA or all crypto? If that comes out, that's bullish for me. I think also there was a new NASDAQ rule that came out that is going to forbid the market making that's been going on with these exchanges being able to have these market makers that are able to liquidate people to the upside and the downside. And that's now come out, and that'll be interesting. I wonder if Ondo is going to have a bit of involvement there with some real world assets, and maybe there'll be more trading of crypto on the NASDAQ there. It'll be very interesting. I'm not going to go too deep into it there. We've got the president saying maybe $5,000 checks are going to come out using Doge savings. I'd say some of that could come into crypto as well. And of course, President Trump just signed an executive order to end Joe Biden's war on Bitcoin and crypto. What does that mean as well? So I think I agree with you 100%. I added a couple of things to that to support what you said, but I also think there are some bullish catalysts that could come in. And I do think that the bull run is not over yet. I think we've got upside to come.
Well, I love those headlines that you shared, but I'm going to just conclude that part of the conversation with saying that once Donald Trump took office, then we got this series of strange crypto projects. Started with the Trump coin, then the Melania coin, then the Junior coin, and then recently Trump's buddy, the Libra coin. And these were not focuses on the advancement of crypto technology. Yeah, they all appeared largely to everybody to be a liquidity grab, to be a money grab. Yes. And it's just left at the wrong time of the market slowing down because of rising inflation. It left everybody sort of a bad taste in their mouth. And who got punished? Well, every meme coin holder in the world got taken out to the woodshed and beat. Yeah. If you've owned meme coins and you held them through this has been a bloodbath based on these projects that got released with, I think, in not great faith. And I'm not going to delve into that. Listen, I don't care about the politics. I'm talking about the cold, hard facts of what we're seeing in the price action in these charts. Okay, let's segue the conversation to a category that has a super nerdy name called oscillating indicators. And basically, oscillator is just a word for meaning moving back and forth, and it's the indicators which gauge the momentum of Bitcoin. Sounds super thick, but I'm going to make it super simple. And the reason why I'm going to go over this is because I'm going to kind of tell you about the underlying currents of strength or lack of strength in Bitcoin right now. I also want to just highlight before I get into that I chose this moment to do this video because I started to see a potential tide shift in Bitcoin and in Sui and in XRP. And so the last time I came out and did a live video, it's because things were getting ready to capitulate. And today's video I felt was important, and I'm going to get into my own personal money and my own personal trading here in just a second. But the timing of this is important. Don't think I'm just on here because I wanted to squeeze out another video today. We're getting ready to see something here in Bitcoin, and one of the ways that I determine that is by looking at the oscillating indicators. So let me go through them. The RSI is at 45, which is considered a neutral zone, but it's been slowly building. There's a potential for upward momentum if it rises above the 50% mark. So we're creeping up to that 50% mark. If we get above it, technically for some, that prints a buy signal. That would correlate with Bitcoin perhaps getting above 100K, which it's kind of creeping towards. And so we have a little bit of a slow melt up to a potential buy signal when looking at the RSI. Now, it could also reject at 50 and go south, but we're getting close to the markets reacting to that 50% level. The MACD line is approaching the signal line. A crossover would indicate bullish momentum. So we've got the MACD line and the signal line, which when they're going apart, right, it's meaning that something is, if it's pointing down and they're spreading apart, it means that the sellers are rushing in to sell. But when these lines begin to converge again and the MACD line crosses over the signal line to the upside, it's a buy signal. So both the RSI and MACD are cooking. We're waiting for the bell so that they could be taken out of the oven. The stochastic RSI is near 30, and this is approaching oversold territory. A move below 20 could also signal a buying opportunity. So the overall momentum has been slowing, but it's getting close to the point where it is at max deceleration, and at that point, we could begin to see buyers take interest again. The CCI is negative 50 below zero. A rise above 100 would confirm a strong uptrend. I'm going to say that's mostly neutral. The ADX at 20 with plus DI greater than negative DI. This would actually signal a weak trend, which we kind of know that's where we're at. It's at 20. And getting above 25 would favor the bulls. So that's not really telling us that we're in a bullish trend. It's telling us we're not at the moment in a bullish trend. And so those are the primary oscillating indicators. And the main thing you want to take away from that is that both the RSI, the MACD, and the stochastic are creeping slowly to a moment of decision. Mark, any thoughts on that before I continue?
Yeah, no, I like it. I feel that the market is beginning to shift. I've got Bitcoin on a bit of a bull flag there on the weekly time frame. If that breaks out from there, we're going to see some pretty good upside for Bitcoin.
Yeah. So before I proceed, I just want to comment or have you comment, Mark, on Bitcoin dominance. Can you give everybody a quick overview of where Bitcoin dominance is sitting? Because what happens with Bitcoin is important. It'll actually bring up all the altcoins, but we want to see Bitcoin price go up and we want to see Bitcoin dominance over the alts come down. That's the perfect storm for the alt season. Just shed some light real quick, Mark, on what your interpretation of Bitcoin dominance is right now.
Well, Bitcoin dominance right now, I'm hoping, has made a lower high. If that's the case, what I'll be looking for it to do is make a lower low and take out the candlewick low on the 17th of February. That low was at 60.19%. If it can do
now, make
that,
sure. Hey, I want to just I want you to go slow because you're like a. We're deep into what I'd refer to as the nerd talk, and I just want to make it so that someone who's driving down the road is following it.
Yeah. So Bitcoin dominance is the dominance of Bitcoin in the market. So right now, out of the whole cryptocurrency market, that's currently sitting at 61.23%. So when Bitcoin dominance rises, usually that's pulling money from the altcoin market. When it's dropping, that usually means that money is flowing back into the altcoin market. So we do want Bitcoin dominance to come down. And so it made a high, a really big high on the 3rd of February. It made a bit of a lower high on the 7th of February, but it made a higher low. And so the trend is down, was down, coming down. And now we've made hopefully we've made a lower high. And then if we can come down and go below that low, that would be a trend, and we'd be starting to come down. And if we do that, then obviously the money's now flowing into the altcoins, and the altcoins can begin to move. It's sitting right now on a moving average on the daily, the 9 EMA. And I'd like to see it break down below that, but it's got a ways to go before I would consider a full-blown alt season. And we would definitely, in my opinion, need to take out that low from the 17th of February. And that's you can add Bitcoin dominance to your chart. You can type in Bitcoin dominance or BTCD. You can add that to your chart and you can track that. And when you see Bitcoin dominance going up, generally altcoins are going down. And when Bitcoin dominance is going down, you will generally see altcoins go up. And so what I'm saying at the moment is maybe a lower high there, and then I'd want to see a lower low to take out that low of the 17th of February.
And what was the low of the 17th of February?
Low of the 17th of February is 60.19%.
Yeah. So the basic idea is that we know the altcoin season is begun when the Bitcoin price continues to go higher, but the Bitcoin dominance begins to go lower. And at the moment, if you had to give it the most simple answer, what would be your guess right now, Mark, from looking at the chart?
I think we're going to put in a lower high here. I do. I think we will. And I think that could lead to could possibly be a fake out, and we could come down and make a higher low, and then I think we come down and we make a lower high there. But Bitcoin can still move up. Just because Bitcoin dominance is going down doesn't mean Bitcoin can't move up. Bitcoin dropping and Bitcoin dominance going down is actually not great. You want Bitcoin actually stable and going sideways, or you want it slowly moving up, and there you want Bitcoin dominance moving down. That will just mean that money's still coming into Bitcoin, but more of it is a higher percentage of it is starting to come into altcoins.
Yeah, so and that type of liquidity is a big question mark as to whether we have enough money with the rates being where they're at for the last couple years. Do we have enough liquidity to accomplish this the way that we did in other cycles? All right, I want to break down a very quick elementary understanding of my view of the Bitcoin price and just go over some recent predictions that I made. So we're currently sitting around 98,000. I don't know what the exact price is. I believe that a trigger move right now to the upside would be to get back above 100,000. And I spent time. Now, I'm going to go over some models that are used to do price predictions. I'm going to start with applying the model to Bitcoin. And it's super simple. It's basically a fib extension, and I'll give you a brief explanation as to what it is. But before I get into that, the target to the upside that it gives me to hit, I guess you could say, the golden pocket would be that we could hit 120,000 right now. Okay, so that's the potential local target based on the fib extension. Now, the fib extension calculation was based off of the low point of 15,500 and the high point of 73,738. And then the retracement level was 38,500. And when you put those calculations in, it gives you a high target prediction of 120,000. Now, that's not necessarily the high target potential for Bitcoin. It's sort of what would be considered very consistently. Most of the time, you get down to these golden pockets, right? You get to these. Most of the time, it'll hit those levels. Now, it could exceed it if you get into an environment of extreme bullishness, and you can go to the downside and get to the golden pocket, and you can go lower based on extreme bearishness. But the general target setup for a fib extension based on from 2021 till the present would be Bitcoin hitting 120K right now. Right now, the immediate target is to get back above 100,000, and that's for Bitcoin to hit 110,000. I would say that there is legitimate concern that we could stall out in this crypto bull run. In recent videos, I said, guys, let's celebrate it. We moved from 15,500 to basically almost 110,000. That was a huge and massive. I mean, when we go forward in time and we look back on this time, we would consider this to be a wildly successful Bitcoin cycle. Okay. And so I wanted to lay that perception in the marketplace, because people that have now begun to join very, very late, tardy to the party at 80, 90,000 or even 100,000, they're looking for everything to go to 500,000, 200,000, or a million, when the rest of us that were buying in the winter at 15,500 are celebrating the fact that we got to 100K. And that's one of the main points I did in my intro, which is the third reason why Bitcoin is not pumping right now is that too many people are in profit, and a lot of them are wanting to take profit. But let me go through right now. The second prediction that I've made is that we don't want to see a monthly candle close beneath 90K, because that would be the first clear sign to me that the top is in. Now, I'm not predicting that. I think that we could wick below 90K. That's possible in a black swan event or some unpredictable turn of events comes. But I will tell you that if we ever close a candle beneath 90K at this point, then that would be the first signal that the run is over. The second signal that the run is over would be a cross beneath the previous market cycle high. And the fact is that every time in history the price has moved beneath the previous market cycle high, that was, we never broke out of it and made a new high. So that would be, I guess you could say, the absolute 100% confirmation that the top is behind us. We should never go that low at this point. And that would tell me that we are in or heading towards the winter. Remember, the winter is not just a fall off a cliff and, a descent that never ends. It moves down in stages, right? Now, that sounds a bit bearish. People are freaking out. I'm not predicting that. I'm just explaining to you the signals that I'm going to be looking for. Now, if we go back to the last signal I gave you, is that if we do a basic fib extension, this should hit 120,000. Now, my prediction on Bitcoin for the top of this cycle, unless we get something like Donald Trump making it a reserve asset, okay, so if he doesn't do that, if he does that, then we're going to 180,000 on Bitcoin. That's my prediction. If he doesn't do that clearly, then to me, the top is right beneath 120,000. That's what I think Bitcoin can do on its own in the full extent of the Bitcoin cycle. And if we stop short at under 110, I would think that we had fallen short of that golden pocket, which would make a ton of sense for Bitcoin to hit. Before I proceed and go through the models, Mark, what is your reaction to that?
Yeah, look, I think that if we were to lose that 90K level, that would be quite bearish. And I do look at, think back at April 2021, though, when Bitcoin dropped from 65,000 and went all the way down to 28,000. I remember buying that dip, and it was scary. And it dropped for 2 months, went sideways for a month, but then it went on and made a new all-time high. And I've thought about whether or not this might be this kind of a April 2021 dip, particularly for altcoins have really taken a hammering there. So, I haven't ruled out that there could be some more downside, or maybe the downside is over, because it's been pretty bearish for January to February. You could maybe even say December to mid-December, when Powell kind of grinched Christmas for us, was a little bit bearish. But I also I've been looking at a lot of different metrics. There's a great indicator on TradingView called the Bitcoin Top Indicator. And it basically pulls about a dozen or 15, maybe 20 indicators that have been very, very accurate. And only when that metric kind of fires off, it will actually show you. And it's been the most accurate indicator that I've seen. You can just find it by typing in BTI, and that might be something to keep an eye on the charts. I also have some great study from one of the guys in the Discord has put together a wonderful document. I'll send that over to you, Josh, as well, so you can check it out, just based off some time predictions. He's done some wonderful research, and he actually has this top based off that to be in between the 8th and the 20th of October. If you exclude 2013 data, and if you include 2013, it actually comes out to be more around late July to early August. Just the time based off all the timings of the bottom, the previous bottom to the top, and the halving to the top back to the bottom, and it's really some quite amazing stuff there. So I'm still going to stick with, yes, we're in a bull market. I do still think it's going to play out. And for me, I've kind of said that September time, possibly October, I still do so. What happens in between there, I think, has been different. I don't recall. Well, I do recall that last February was nothing like this. It was extremely bullish. Anything that you bought was just going up. And maybe that's why we are where we are right now, that it was too predictable. And usually when too many people are thinking that something's going to happen, what do we find? The opposite actually ends up happening. So maybe the altcoin run has been a little bit delayed. Maybe that April 2021, that mid-cycle drop, maybe that's come in February, January, I would say, when Bitcoin put it in. But I would agree with you, 120K. Well, first of all, we need a green February, right? I mean, January, I think, was 102,000. So we really need February to get to 103 and above. That could be quite bearish. I'm not sure when we've had a red February in a bullish year, particularly after a halving. So I'm not sure if that's ever happened. I'd have to check that out. And then I would agree with you, if we get that strategic Bitcoin reserve or some other white swan event, I agree with that. I have about that 170K region. And if we don't, I'm going to be somewhere around that 120, 130 kind of region there. I would agree with you. On its own, I think Bitcoin can kind of get to that.
Okay. I thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. I'm going to briefly describe the 5 models that are used to predict to make price predictions on crypto. And if I'm going to go over some popular altcoins, and if the numbers that you hear through these models I give are different than the models or the numbers that you've heard from other YouTubers, I'm going to suggest to you that those guys are making up those scenarios because these are the accepted models, and I've got the most conservative technical to the most aggressive. I'm not going to refer to it as imaginary, but the metrics are much more interpretive. So the first is such a basic of technicals, which is a moving averages prediction based on the degree in which the moving averages are coming apart and crossing over each other. It gives a Bitcoin top of 110,000 ahead of us right now. And so technically, based on the moving averages from the past, when we got right underneath 110, the moving averages price prediction was fulfilled and hit. Okay. So right off the bat, that's a very common predictive tool. And if we never break above 110, then the moving averages model predicted the top perfectly. Now, again, I'm going through these not because I'm bearish or bullish. I'm wanting to explain these because when I go into the altcoins and give you some of my price predictions, and tell you which ones I'm particularly trading. I want you to understand my level of conviction based on these ideas. The second predictive model for Bitcoin is based off of Fibonacci extensions. Now, in that scenario, I've showed you guys my predictions in the past. And based on the fact that we closed the month of November where we closed it, if we followed suit to past cycles, Bitcoin would hit 180K right now based on Bitcoin's past performance. However, if we treat this like a traditional asset and we go off of a fib trend extension, the top that technical model will give Bitcoin is 120K. So if we were to get up to 116 to 120K, then the traditional Fibonacci extension would be accurate. And as I'm going through these, the price prediction is going to get higher and higher. Then you've got the logarithmic growth curve, which many of you guys have seen pictures of. You might not have known it was the logarithmic growth curve, but it's predicting $150,000 to $200,000 Bitcoin, and it's largely basing that on previous moves, okay? That does not take into consideration any of the current macro environment. It's looking entirely at the price action and the previous, you could say the previous pumps and dumps. And then you've got the stock to flow model, which has lost some credibility in recent years because in the last cycle, the stock to flow model told us that we would have $100,000 Bitcoin and we didn't get it. But the current stock to flow model is predicting a $250,000 to $400,000 Bitcoin. So basically, you're going to get $250,000 to $500,000 Bitcoin if the stock to flow model, which didn't work in the last cycle, did work this cycle. The stock to flow model did work 2 out of the 3 cycles, and so that's why it's still considered a valid technical tool and doesn't get scratched off the list. Then you've got the most aggressive. This is the AI ML model, and I'm going to briefly read you guys a general description of this so that we understand what it does. But basically, this takes into a lot of other considerations beyond the scope of price action. And you guys are going to guess early on that I'm going to prefer the charting because that's what I'm good at and that's what I know. And I believe that price is truth and it guides you and you have to believe it when it's right in front of you. And I'm going to tell you another thing. It's not an opinion. I got money that I've made consistently off of believing the price action in front of me. And so that's the reason I have a high level of conviction to the charts is because they are the basis of my wealth. The AI ML price prediction model, this machine learning analysis that uses historical data, sentiment, and macro trends to forecast future prices, with key factors being volume, volatility, on-chain data, social sentiment, and institutional flows. Personally, I think one of the reasons why this particular model gets potentially so skewed is that it includes social sentiment and institutional flows. But I would agree that those factors should be considered because they can shape the price of Bitcoin, right? And so basically, if we have a change in character or the nature of the asset, there's a reason why people want to put, billions and billions of dollars into it. Like maybe it coincides with the collapse of the dollar or other instability throughout the world. We've seen third world countries adopt Bitcoin. And so those are the types of things that would be the factors such as social sentiment and institutional flows. And macro trends, those are the types of things that could take this from a $120,000 asset to potentially, as they're saying, a $175,000 to a $350,000 asset. So actually, it's the stock to flow model that is the most aggressive. The AI ML model gives a very similar but slightly lower prediction. All right, before I get into my particular plays and what I'm doing with my money, before I get into that, I want to just give Mark an opportunity to give his thoughts on the models I gave and and how much credibility have you given them? And Mark's got his own show called Tribal Trades, and he gives price predictions. And have you looked at these in the past to make predictions on altcoins and Bitcoin, Mark?
Yeah, I've seen a ton of different models and predictions out there. I tend to, obviously look at Fibonacci's play a big role, as you have with your Bitcoin. And I've seen you do that chart really well when you look back at all the different market cycles. And I think that's quite brilliant the way that you've done that. But I tend to go with, I look at I want to look at realistic numbers. Like when you look at XRP and there are people going, $50, $100 and $500, I go to my coin market cap calculator and I say, okay, well, to get to that, what would the market cap have to be? And, I looked at the XRP to Bitcoin market cap calculator, and just to get to $20, XRP would have to flip a Bitcoin and become the #1 cryptocurrency. And I don't see that happening. I just don't. And the reason why if XRP gets to Bitcoin, that it will only be $20 and will be trillions of dollars. Like, what is XRP right now? 160 billion. I mean, Bitcoin is about 2 trillion. I mean, that's extraordinary. So, and the reason why is the supply is enormous. 100 billion XRP tokens. To put that in context, Solana doesn't even have 1 billion tokens. It has about 600 million, and Ethereum has like 100 million tokens. So they've got 100 billion tokens. 43 billion of those tokens are locked and held by one entity, XRP. And then they've got the worst token unlock in history. They unlock 1 billion tokens every single month. Now, sometimes they lock it up straight away, but then that's going to be dumped later on. Sometimes they dump the entire 1 billion tokens there and cash in. You imagine 1 billion tokens at $2. That's a lot of money that Ripple puts in their pocket. And sometimes they unlock 1 billion, and sometimes they dump on the market half of it or some of it, and then they lock the rest up. But that's a concern for me. So I think that when you hear those price predictions of people, go to these coin market cap calculators. I've got one of them on my cheat sheet that I provide as part of my resources, and just really look at what's a realistic price target. Now, I'm not saying that it can't happen, but I'm not seeing XRP flip and become a $2 trillion asset in this cycle. So, I do think price models are important. But I think also make sure that if somebody's yelling out a pretty wild number like Shiba Inu to $1, go to that coin market cap calculator and see exactly how much money would, I think someone worked it out, the entire wealth of all the money that's on planet Earth would have to be put into Shiba Inu for it to get to $1. So just make sure you check those things out. That's really important.
I appreciate that, Mark. And what I'm not going to do today is I'm not going to take 10 minutes to hate on XRP. I will tell you this, though, about legacy coins and all of these projects is that I'm not a huge believer in the underlying technology. So just know that up front. Yeah. I'm a believer in the charts, and I'm not even concerned about the charts. I'm trying to make money so I can do incredible things with my life and for my family. So as long as the charts make some sense, I'll put some money in. I don't care about the army. And I'll tell you one quick thing about XRP is that the Ripple software does not have to use XRP to run. And the huge strength behind XRP has always been in the underlying Ripple software. XRP is just a token with questionable tokenomics. And, and when it's hyping and pumping, nobody focuses on those things. But when the bull run ends and things cool off, those begin to be talked about much, much more. They're given as the explanation as to why it's not 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks. But actually, as I kind of share that, I actually really like XRP because it's showing superior relative strength, which is a concept in
Best chart out
charting,
there.
which means it's outperforming its peers. And so I don't care what the story is. I don't care about where it's going to go, because I'm going to have a strategy to take profit. And I've got a new price prediction for you on XRP. And I've got a trade plan for you on XRP. And you guys can decide once I share that with you, and you know where it is I'm going to sell. You guys can decide whether you want to hold and run with it forever. Super chat. Thank you, Matt Dongworth. Thanks for the help. Get some Taco Bell on me. Oh, man, thank you. Appreciate that. It's very, very kind of you.
I would agree with that. I think the XRP chart is one of the strongest charts out there right now. If you look at it, and what you say, price is truth. The only other chart that I can think of that's looking as good is the OM chart. The OM mantra token. But those two charts are two of the strongest out there right now, and it's been performing extremely well. I just don't think it's going to get to $50.
Yeah. And so real quick, Promate Engineer, I believe, he said, what's the different perks for 39 and 100 SWJ membership? He's talking about the ChartGoat University Stocks with Josh community. It's a pro trading community. It's an educational platform. And there are crown traders. And I know that people come in there and they're like, Josh, we're here to follow you. But the fact is, I built a team and a Discord with people that have expertise and talents in areas that I'm not necessarily focusing on, so that everybody could get a broader scope of help. And Mark's one of them. He just exited the screen, but Mark focuses on the micro cap. I'm not going to say micro crap. The micro cap, coins, which have the highest potential for percentage moves. They also have the highest potential for crashes. And so, because that's not necessarily my bag, and typically when you get to the level that I'm at, you're looking at putting in 6 or 7 figure moves, and you're looking for small percentages. When you're a beginning trader, you're looking to put in whatever you got, and you're looking for the biggest percentage move you can get. Because my investment risks are different than some, that's why I got Mark in there, so he can give you that hella risky gambling stuff. And I got Stock Brother in there to help you with penny stocks. And I got, Spy Lord to help you focus on just one thing, get good at one thing, which is day trading the SPY. But you get different access to different crown traders. You get me, and you get the Leaps folder, and you get the Crypto Gems folder. You get all that on the top tier. So I would say that the top tier is loaded pretty heavy with value right now. But that's the quick breakdown. And, I'll tell you one thing, that it's constantly changing, because I've got plans and development. I've got some stuff that'll blow your guys' minds, but I'm not going to really talk about it today because I'm working on it. We're talking hardcore coding to bring some high value to the Discord. So nothing's going to stay stationary. But the only thing that more likely could change is, things do become more expensive, but anybody who's in there will get grandfathered into their position. All right, let's talk a bit about the Fibonacci extension. This is the model I prefer for Bitcoin. And the golden target is that 120, and an aggressive bull cycle target is 150, and an extended blow-off top scenario is between 180 and 190. And so right now, the most traditional expectation using a tool like the Fibonacci is that we would hit 120 in this bull run, and we haven't hit it yet. And I'll tell you, through years of trading, one of the things I've noticed is when you come shy of hitting a target, it's a typical signal that it's getting ready to reverse. I've seen that in a couple crypto plays and stock plays this week. One of them was Carvana. My target on that, I believe, was the reasonable target on that was like 295, and I think it hit and it should have hit that, and it hit like 294. And whenever you see something come shy of a high target, it's a typically a signal that it's going to have some weakness real soon, and then Carvana did. So 120 right now is on the table until we get something from Mr. Trump or some catalyst that could move this much bigger, which we don't have right now. We don't have that catalyst. Before I proceed, Mark, I'm going to get into my crypto picks. These are the ones that I like right now. I'm going to talk a little bit about my own personal money, but before I get into that, any thoughts on what I just shared?
Yeah, no, I think the same. I think we need some kind of catalyst to get this bull market running again. Right now, we don't have that. We need something, tax-free on gains, Bitcoin or crypto. We need the Doge checks coming out to stimulus. I don't know. The Bitcoin reserve. Something needs to happen with everybody's waiting for that news. And you said it. I think people are disappointed that the Bitcoin reserve hasn't happened sooner. I think they felt that was going to be a quick thing. Even up to the election, it was reported that it was literally sitting on his desk, or that was what it felt like. And then suddenly they came out and said there was going to be some crypto stockpile, and that brought a lot of anger. Like, where is this Bitcoin reserve? Someone mentioned in the comments, which I thought was a really, really good point, and neither you and I have mentioned it. So thank you for the person that said that. There are a lot of states across America, Florida being one of them, Texas being one of them. I think there are over 27 states now that are in process of making Bitcoin part of their reserve for that state. And while I think that is very bullish, and I think that is going to help, there's nothing like the president of the USA coming and saying Bitcoin we're going to have a strategic reserve for the US of A, because that kind of starts a bit of an arms race, like the race to the moon. And I think other countries are just going to come in. But I do agree with you. Thank you for putting that, whoever put that. I do think that is bullish, but I don't think that's going to be enough on its own.
Yeah, I agree that you answered the question that Peter Ballantine was asking. Right. A lot of calls for Chainlink. I do like Chainlink. I think it's a super important crypto, but I only like these when they're pumping. All right, let's lead it off. I'm going to lead the conversation with XRP. And this is sort of the main reason why I did the show today, is because there's a trigger line that I've got, a line in the sand for my scalp and my swing trades that is getting ready to trigger. So the current price, read me out the current price on these, Mark, when I start talking about them, because I don't have my chart in front of me. I have my notes in front of me. Where's the current price of XRP?
Current price of XRP is $2.68.
Yep, that's what I've got written down. So the trigger confirmation of a move higher is to get above $2.75. So we're slowly creeping over it. And so I want you guys to know that that line is marked on my chart, and that confirms the potential of a breakout. We're getting very close to it. XRP is giving us early signals of something getting ready to happen in the crypto space. Now, if I go in on a swing trade or day trade or scalp trade there, my stop loss is going to be at $2.50. So mark that. There's your trade announcement right there. Now, the all-time high, I believe, for XRP, and you could double check that for me. Would you get me the all-time high?
Yeah, the all-time high, I think they set a new all-time high this cycle, which was $3.40 there for XRP.
I thought it was a little bit higher than that. Am I wrong?
Let me check. Let me go back to historical data, because I read news that it set a new all-time high in this cycle.
Okay, so let me go through. If we get to the
$3.40 on January. $3.40. So it tied the all-time high from January 7th, 2018. It tagged it exactly. So that is the all-time high, $3.40.
All right. So interestingly, based on Fibonacci extension from the past, so I'm using the past all-time high and the highest high and the lowest low, it gives a Fibonacci extension of a top price for XRP. Now, don't start complaining, XRP Army. It gives it at $3.50. Okay. So it could possibly mean that the high is already in for XRP. If we get above, and I'm not predicting that, we're just having a conversation about technical analysis. But if we get above $2.75, the trade would be from $2.75 to $3.50 if you're gunning for the golden pocket and you have the breakout of the level 275. Now, if we go off of the moving average mid-range projection, so this is just as reliable in my eyes as the fib extension, right? I use both of them. I provide technicals on my show all the time, and these are the two of the primary tools. That would give an XRP high in this cycle of $4.40. And interestingly, I had given the prediction that we would get to $4 on XRP. And so the Fibonacci extension and the moving average ranges give a target between 350 and 440 with a buy alert at $2.75. Now, when we get into the logarithmic growth metrics, it gives a projection of between $10 to $15. And that takes into considerations the entire history of XRP and calculating for some of the largest swings and percentage moves that it's had in the past, with the idea that it might have similar moves in the present. Then you've got the AI ML model, which takes into consideration the most degree of sentiment, okay? And that projection is between $20 and $27. And that one has the highest AI ML model prediction out of any altcoin that I've come across, which simply means that XRP has an army. Let me know, because one of the calculators of that AI ML model is all of you guys pumping and buying and telling your aunties to buy and your grandmas to buy. Yeah. Let me know real quick in the comments. First of all, hit that like. The likes are super low because I haven't been asking for them. You know, ask what, you know, I guess I got to ask for them. Let's get them up to 1,000. Let me know real quick, based on what I shared with you, just the sensible people to the crazy people. Let me know real quick what you guys think the realistic target for XRP is. Is it going to be the traditional charting, the mid-range moving average / Fibonacci extension range of 350 to 440? Is that going to be proving to be right? Or these brand new AI ML models and these flow models, are they going to be proven to be right between $10 to $27? Let me know in the comments.
Yeah. And I think you're right, Josh. I had a target of about $3. Which is exceeded. And then with the new Fibonacci's I put in, the 1618 at $4.41, that would be where I think is a reasonable target there. But, you know, it has got a big, strong army. It could get an ETF. It could get a made in the USA exemption. The SEC lawsuit drops, and, you know, it could exceed that. But I think a reasonable target is that $4.40.
All right, there you go. Mark's Tribal Trades has let his opinion be known. I got to acknowledge Mr. Stockup, Mr. Larry Jones, super chat. Thank you, sir. He chimed in and said, if you average all the models based on the lowest number, the average for Bitcoin is 173,000. I've heard that prediction on his show, and I thought it was very sober-minded. What he's done is he's taken all of the models combined and come up with an average, which would be a strike at 173,000. Okay, let's do Sui. Again, I'm going to quickly go through and look at some of the comments here. A lot of love for you, Larry. Prayers to you. Larry's been focused on family. People ask me, would you take your profits into Bitcoin? I'm not sure exactly what the question is, but the answer is I have not taken profits on Bitcoin, and I've shared with you guys what I've done, and I might cap it.
Would you take profits from your altcoins instead of stable coins, but put it into Bitcoin instead?
No. So the altcoins, my big pile of cash, and it's seven figures, a seven figures success story for my crypto trading. And I already cashed out. Everybody heard it. I went on live on Keenan Grace's page doing a Stock Squad live, and the conversation was crypto. And I said, guys, I've got something very controversial to share tonight, and it's that I've dumped all of my altcoins. And if you go back and you look at the date of that show and the top of the altcoin market, I sold roughly within a week of the top. I didn't catch the very top, but everything that I sold went on a 50% or more clearance after I sold it. And I'm not going to come on here because today's show is about hope. I'm not going to come on here and beat up people who didn't follow me. I know what I did was very controversial, and maybe I didn't take enough time to convince you all or explain to you why I did it, but it proved to be right. And it is historically noted on Keenan's page, no differently than it's been historically noted when I called the bottom in the winter. So I haven't called the top yet, and I'm a little worried, and that's a good sign for everybody. I haven't called the top of Bitcoin. And I do plan on calling the top of Bitcoin at some point. I haven't called it. And so if you haven't seen me call it, I guess it means that I don't believe it's been booked yet. We're going to get into Sui here in just a minute.
You said there, Josh, and I think this is something that I've learned from Josh as well. It's just the ability to not be too emotionally attached to coins and projects. And while I was taking profits on that top, Josh was completely getting out. And, that was a brilliant move. And I look back and I think, man, I wish I could have been a little bit more ruthless and a little bit more cutthroat there. He saw something in the charts. Look, I saw weakness in the charts too, but I thought, wow, I'll just take profits and good. Look, I'm glad that I took profits. But of course, when you're looking at what's happened since and the carnage, I'm like, this guy absolutely nailed it. Josh, you absolutely nailed that. I mean, you got out. I was shocked. I was honestly shocked. I'm like, what? Like, we're coming into altcoin season.
Secretly, now, Mark, you have to admit that secretly you thought I was wrong, didn't you? Come on now.
Secretly, I thought I was quiet about it. But in my mind, I thought, wow, that's a big move. I'll never go, I'm always one that I don't like talking in absolutes because I don't think anybody knows the future. And so, but I felt it was unlikely that, we were going to have this kind of a dump in February when it had been quite bullish, which is why I did see some weakness, but I just took profits off the top. And now I see you really cut, and you cut hard, and you were right, and you nailed it. And really, I have to be honest, I don't see any other YouTuber or person on X who did that or nailed that. There's not one person that I've seen or YouTuber that said I've sold all of my altcoins.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen it. I got to give a quick story and then we'll get on to Sui. But I remember in the last cycle when I wasn't on YouTube and my son was trading crypto pretty heavily and daily, and I told him he was leveraged trading, and I said 7x short Bitcoin today. And it was when it was 48,000. And I said 7x leverage short Bitcoin today, you'll be fine. And he said to me, Dad, he said crypto face, and he listed off BitBoy, and he listed off like 4 or 5 big popular YouTubers. And he said, they're all saying that it's going to go here and it's going to go there. And I said, son, they're all wrong. Every last one of them. 7x short Bitcoin, and you'll make a ton of money. And if you go back to the charts on that day, Bitcoin flushed, and it was in full-fledged winter and didn't come back to 48K for another year or so. But, it's not always that clear for me. And I didn't do too well calling the top of Bitcoin. And maybe I won't do too well for calling the top of Bitcoin this time. I hope I do well. Right now, I'm holding firm that it's going to be between 116 to 120 until proven otherwise. You know, we got to get above 120 and we've got to have a catalyst. Like I said, Trump doing something big. And then I'm going to be a fully sold believer in the sentiment nature of these charts and the ability for them to pump beyond expectation as liquidity just flows in mindlessly from buyers. At the moment, I don't see that. Let me quickly acknowledge this super chat from Leo. I said, "You're the man. Discord is fire. VIP is worth what it is advertised. I find charting crypto to a stock different. You go into charting them the same." The answer is, Leo, yes, 100%. I actually believe personally that crypto is even more consistent than stocks because there's these cycles with these significant moments in time, like the halving event and the peak and the winter, and there's all these traditional exchanges that will collapse. We'll see the collapse of crypto projects and exchanges. It's all so consistent. It's wild to me. So personally, I believe the charts are even more clear on crypto, even though that might shock you guys. Let's get those likes to 1,000, guys. That's where I feel like I showed up and you guys showed up with the love. I know I showed up with the love. I just need to see some of the love and the likes right now. Real quick comment on Reddit. Reddit took a pounding, but I bought the dip and I'll know how it closes Friday to determine whether I want to add to that position or cut it. At the moment, I'm optimistically bullish, but it was a sketchy day for Reddit. Okay, I'm seeing some people chime in and say that the all-time high for XRP will be 384. Or, someone said it was 384. I thought it might have been in the past, but I'm not going to argue that point right now. Dupar CJ said, "What happened to the 1,000 to 100K?" I've answered that so many times, and he put a laughing LOL on it. Bitcoin lost all momentum, and the meme coins got crushed. And if we got back into that incredible fire cycle, the meme coins would come back alive, and it would be another opportunity to begin to identify ones that were going to pump, and we'd go right back to it. But if they're all falling, there's nothing to share. So that's a fact. And I don't control that. I can't control that those came to a halt like that.
Yeah.
XRP $8 max. Dupar CJ said XRP $8 max, $5 maybe, $5 to $10. And honestly, I think $5 to $10 is a possibility. However, I'm very likely just going to sell. I'm going to take higher risk and look for a lower percentage gain that I feel is a little bit more traditional. And it doesn't mean that when we get to that point, let's say the scenario is a potential between 350 and 440. I'm not going to get to 350 and sell. I'm going to get to 350 and I'm going to put a stop loss and slowly raise it until it cashes me out. And the day that it cashes me out, I'm not going to chase it because those are disciplines I've learned for a long time in trading. Let's get into Sui. Sui's made me a lot of money, man. Sui, I got a lot of respect and love for Sui. Sui's like a close friend of mine. I think it's a true bona fide crypto winner. The current price is right around $3.40, and it's nearing the breakout trigger of $3.50. That's one of the between XRP and Sui were the two big reasons I came on to do this live today, because I'm going to drop this in the Discord. I'm going to put these specs in the Discord for you guys, but I wanted you guys to be aware that we're getting very close to those triggers. Now, I also want to clarify, because some people, there's something called selective hearing. 350, if we reject at 350 and we get a big wick and the price drops beneath, well, then it didn't trigger. But if we get above 350 and we see volume come in, then it is going to be off to the races on XRP and Sui. I'm giving you guys the trade plan. Your stop loss, if you got in on the cross of 350, would be $3.20. Where does that come from? That's the exact stop loss I'm going to use if when the price gets to 350 and volume starts to pump, which we need to see volume go higher, not be lower at 350. We don't want to see it get to 350 and stall out. We use volume as a confirmation of a trade. If we get to 350 and then volume starts firing, well, then we put our stop loss in at 320 and we hold. Okay, Sui, the Fibonacci extension for Sui is $4.80. Okay, and again, interestingly, now again, I don't know if you guys all know what that Fibonacci extension does. It takes the entire price history of the high and the low, and it gives that potential high price target. Well, we got that. We got the Fibonacci extension. We hit it pretty much. We're within 20 cents. We got above it. So the prediction, the price shot slightly above the golden pocket of the Fibonacci extension already. Does that tell us that with XRP and with Sui that we've already reached our high? I don't think so at the moment, or at least I'm not convinced of it, but someone could argue that technically. The mid-range projection using moving averages gives a high price target of $5. Now that's quite fascinating when you take into consideration that we got between 480 and 530, right between those two historically accurate indicators, okay? It's only the AI models and the logarithmic growth models that give us higher predictions. Even there, the AI ML model is actually quite conservative at $5.50. So it's actually not even saying that Sui is going to have this runaway $10 top. It is what it is. These are not my numbers. These are the facts of these models based on my research. Now, the highest projection of price for Sui in this cycle is based on the logarithmic growth. This takes into consideration all of the percentage moves and other factors, and it says that Sui could get between $6 and $8. And personally, I believe that if we get above 120,000, and you guys have heard that from me before on Bitcoin, I believe that we'll get up to that 6 to 8 to possibly something even unpredicted on Sui, but it would take Bitcoin getting above 120K. So I'm going to trade Sui like I did before, and the breakout trigger price is a move above $3.50. The stop loss would be $3.20, and the target would be a potential move back to the $4.80 to $5 range. That's the current plan, and then we would tighten up those stop losses and let it take profit if the market got weak. Before I move on to my next crypto pick, my next two crypto picks, just your thoughts, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, I think it should at least get back to $5 as long as the bull run isn't over, which we don't think it is. I certainly think $10 is reasonable. Before what we've had happen here in February and all the drama with the Libra token and the other meme coin stuff, $25 in 2025 had been my prediction. That would be the same market cap of Solana currently has, and I think that's certainly achievable. I would put Sui on par with as good as, if not better, blockchain than Solana. Now, will that happen? I think it's reasonable that happens. But I could say I would be disappointed if we didn't at least hit $10. I think this bull run for Sui would have fallen well below expectations if it doesn't at least get to that $10 level. But I still hope that we get to that 10, and maybe even if we exceed. And I think this comes back to what you said. What if Bitcoin does? If Bitcoin gets to that 120, yeah, maybe we'll see Sui somewhere between that $5 and $10 mark. But if Bitcoin exceeds that and gets up to those higher ranges of 150, 160, 170, then I do think Sui can get up to that $20, $25 level.
Daryl, thank you, Mark. I agree with you. I hope you guys pay attention to that. Mark's been trading long enough to understand that to keep the highest target in sober-mindedness and to take profits along the way, for sure. Daryl gives an account similar to what Mark is saying about how an approach would be to cash out of a position the way I described it. I want to quickly share this. I think it's just interesting. J. Tani Gawa 53. Do you think the president is not talking about a Bitcoin reserve on purpose so we don't have to compete with other countries for Bitcoin? I'm going to get myself in trouble today for giving opinions on people. I think he's got too much to take into consideration. The real question would be, is any of his consultants advising him accordingly along those lines? And I wouldn't know, but I'll just say this. I think that this is where I personally want to trade the charts, and I advise you guys to consider trading the charts as well, because I have found, if you're following me, you're following a guy who's found financial success by believing the charts that are in front of him. These stories get talked about with great enthusiasm, and you can begin to internalize them, and it creates a narrative, and then the market turns left while you're going right based on these ideas. And in my opinion, this would be a great question, interesting thing to sit around and chat about, but I think it takes people off the point of making money by getting too caught up in the unknown. Just my opinion. I appreciate you taking the time to ask that question.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just going through some comments. I see some more love expressed for Larry. I appreciate that love for Larry. Larry is a good, lifelong friend of mine. I've been knowing Larry, and Larry is a good man. Makes very sensible decisions on crypto. He has a community called Money Moves, and it's a community. It's an investment club, and it's on WAP. And if you're part of mine, I think that you should consider joining and looking at his as well. Manny sent me a super chat of $2 from Manny Bati. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, let's talk about Ondo. So now Ondo, out of all of these, I see Ondo. I have a little bit higher conviction with Ondo right now. I think I see a higher potential of profits with Ondo right now, because as we just described these various models for price predictions on Sui, if you really think about it, it's a stretch to get to 6. A lot has to come together for Sui to get to 6. And right now, if it gets above 350 and you're not in it and you buy it, that's only going to get you 100% more. But Ondo, I believe, has the potential for a little bit of a higher return, and so I'm putting a little bit more emphasis on Ondo. Current price is $1.23, and again, this is the reason for the show. The breakout trigger confirmation of a move higher is back above $1.30. And so if it gets back above $1.30, that's our confirmation that we're not breaking down, but rather breaking up. You'd put your stop loss in at $1.10. And then now the all-time high, I believe, for Ondo, it was at $2.14. Do I have my notes correct there? Can you look that up for me?
Yeah.
But the Fibonacci extension for Ondo is $1.80, and the moving average range for Ondo is $2. And so
$2.10.
Was that the all-time high?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's correct. So interestingly, and again, this is just an interesting dynamic, Ondo, similar to the other coins, reached their model highs already. Just keep that in mind. I am underlining that because it should concern us, because the moving average model and the Fibonacci model is based on the entire history of price action. And so we've seen that these coins already hit the projection of the top based on those models, right? And, the question is, could we come back to them and get a double top? Could we break out because we get that catalyst? That's the unknown. So the higher projection on the logarithmic growth model for Ondo is between $2.50 and $3. And that's actually been my prediction. You guys have heard me throw out the idea of Ondo hitting $3. And that's in the scenario that we get all that we want from the president on Bitcoin in this cycle. The Fed starts to ease and the market starts to pump and the world stays out of war. Then we get a Bitcoin that goes to 180,000. We get a Ondo that goes up to $3, and we get an XRP that goes up to between $4 and $5. and we get what we want. Now, the highest projection for the AI ML model, which takes into things consideration like sentiment, is $2.75 for Ondo. One of the other reasons why I wanted to do this show today and compare these models was just to get you guys into a scope. It's to delete out of your minds potentially any YouTuber that told you that these were going significantly higher than that. And I would just say, put your stop loss in. And if you can't put a stop loss in because you're on, Coinbase, I know in the pro version you can put stop losses. So consider a couple things. Consider consolidating your cryptos. One of the reasons why I cleaned house and sold out all my altcoins at the end of November was because I had past experience. Yeah. That I owned so many coins in so many wallets on so many exchanges that when the market really began to fall apart and I just couldn't keep track of it, and some of it was smaller dollar amounts, and so I just let it bleed. I didn't prioritize it. I was focusing on bigger dollar amounts, and I literally thought, you know what? I'm not going to make that mistake again. I hit the moving average, the fib target on all the cryptos that I've been tracking. We hit those targets, and I want to clean house. I was going into my Coinbase, and I was cleaning out stuff that I had 25 cents of. It was so much fun. I was cleaning cryptos, scrubbing down the walls, and resetting, and I felt so good about it. But so Ondo, the target, the realistic target right now is a move, let me be clear, from $1.30 back to $2. And only if we get those catalysts and those other dynamics should you think about it going higher than $2. And so at the moment, it's really just based on fib extensions and moving average models. It's really only the potential of a move back to a double top. Keep that into consideration. Whew. Okay, let's talk about a couple more. Let me get some feedback.
I'm at share my thought on Ondo there. Yeah, look.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
I love using the crypto calculator, and I look at, do I think Ondo can flip a Dogecoin or a Cardano or get to where it is? And even if those coins move up in market cap, that would put Ondo at $9 and $10 if it were to get to where Dogecoin currently is or Cardano currently is. And so I do think there's that potential, but again, a lot of it hinges on what Bitcoin does, what kind of an altcoin season we have, what kind of money comes in. But I do think that, I'm not throwing $50 or $100 in Ondo up there, but Ondo is bringing out its own blockchain. It's going to have its own blockchain. They're going to tokenize real world assets. That means you can put your Apple stock, your Tesla stock on Ondo and earn yield on that. I think that's a game changer. Now, we don't know when that's going to happen. Is that going to happen this cycle? How is that going to work out? There are a lot of unknowns there, but I do see that potential for Ondo to go a lot higher than some of those models, because I do think it's a stronger project than Cardano, and I do think it's a stronger project than Dogecoin. Even if it got to the market cap of Solana, current market cap, and that would be really up there, that would be a $27 Ondo. I'm not seeing that, but I think a $9 or $10 Ondo, if we see those catalysts come in, like Josh has said, maybe they will, maybe they won't, that Bitcoin reserve and something else, I could see those upper targets for Ondo.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. Today, I'm selling everybody else's Discord community. Salvador Riviera says, thank God for Keenan at $10. One, I will mention that I believe Keenan's prices have gone up, but he grandfathered a lot of people in at $10. And I've told Keenan repeatedly that he is the best priced Discord anywhere. And he's been, y'all been robbing Keenan blind. That guy's been feeding you great content for a long time at a very affordable price. So yeah, I got a shout out to Keenan. Okay, bear with me, guys. I'm just going through the comments. The likes aren't where they need to be. I might just go get dinner, catch up with my wife here. All right, let's talk about Ethereum for a minute, because this is one that's controversial. There's people out there that are more bullish on Ethereum than I am. Now the current price is right around 2,729, and it's very close to where I had sold it months back when I'd gotten into it and I had accumulated around 2,500 to 2,300. I ended up selling it right around 27 to 2,800, and I put that money into Sui, and Sui paid me way more for believing in it than Ethereum ever would have paid me. So right now we're back to the price where I had previously sold it at. And but the trigger on this, the trigger for a move higher on Ethereum, guys, and mark this on your charts, I'll end up talking about it later, is 2770. So we are right underneath a very important price point on Ethereum, 2770. Now, if you enter into a trade at 2770, the cross of that price, one, remember, you need to see volume. This isn't easy. Trading's not easy. Making money on Wall Street's not easy. It's not so one-dimensional. You got to look at a lot of things like price and volume and momentum and the news. But if you got into Ethereum at the cross of 2770, you'd put your stop loss in at 2700, or at least I would. And our all-time high for Ethereum is 4,878. And so realistically, your goal at the moment is for it to get back to its all-time high. The Fibonacci extension was 3150. Can you tell me real quick what is the high that we got in this recent? Can you look it up for me real quick? Because I'm just going through these. I know that normally I spend a lot of time showing you guys the charts. I really wanted to get this information out. I know it's not as visual as usual, but I really wanted to go through this conceptually. So the
4107.
What was it?
4107.
4107. And so the fib extension and the moving average target for past price prediction was between 32 and 3,500, and so we already exceeded it. Now the AI ML models shows a prediction between 4,500 and 6,000. And so it's not until you get into those sentiment-based models do you begin to get a higher price prediction for Ethereum. And I just want you guys to be clear of that. So what is it going to take to get to those predictions that the AI ML models give? It's going to take those bigger catalysts like Trump. If we're going purely off the charts and we're trading the charts exclusively, then you're entering Ethereum at 2770, you're dropping a stop loss at 2700, and you're gunning for a return to 32 to 3500. Then you tighten up your stop loss and see what else the market gives you. There's your Ethereum trade. All right, we're going to do another one. If the likes can get up a little higher, we're going to get into some Solana. Before I proceed, and while I'm looking at the comments, Mark, you want to give your thoughts on Ethereum, and I'm going to see if those likes go up before I hit the Solana technicals.
Yeah, I think the sentiment for Ethereum is quite low. And I think part of that is because after the ETF came in, I think people thought that it was going to do kind of what Bitcoin did, and it did the opposite and dropped. And has really struggled with that $4,000 level to get over. That's a key level to get past there. It's tough to predict where Ethereum can go. I mean, World Liberty Financial, Eric Trump has been buying a ton of that, and that's fueling that maybe, all the federal government stuff's going to go on the Ethereum blockchain. Maybe it's going to go on the Cardano blockchain, and we just don't really know. But I would come back to, I think that the important point that you've made, which I don't want anybody to gloss over, is what is going to be the catalyst? What is going to be the catalyst for Bitcoin? But also, what is going to be the catalyst for Ethereum that's going to take it past its all-time high, that's going to give it that bullish momentum there? And I think that's something to really think through, that it does really need something right now, and it doesn't have it. And I'm not saying that it can't come. And a lot of people think, well, does Eric Trump know something that we don't know? And maybe he does, and maybe there's something that's going to propel that to a new all-time high.
I love it. And I agree with you on that. That's my reason for keeping it in my radar and talking about it, is because of the Trump boys' attention and focus on it. They bought, yes. I think they've got 247 million.
Well, I think it's more now. I think it might be 500 million, Josh.
Okay.
They keep buying it.
Julie appreciates Keenan as well. We appreciate Keenan on this page. Dupark thinks we should focus on coins that are not popular and leave the XRP and Ondos alone. This guy is a true degen. He wants those micro coins, but with the micro coins comes mega risk. It just reminds you of that. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Solana. I've really grown fond of Solana, principally because I spent a lot of time researching the founder, and they're just one of the best at messaging. And I think they're a legitimate threat to Ethereum. Okay. Yeah. And I think there could come, they talk about coins surpassing other coins in some monumental move. People in the comment section have said today, XRP is going to overtake all the coins above it and Bitcoin. But the one coin that I think could actually rival and move higher up on the list more definitively is Solana. I'm not predicting that because Ethereum has a very, very strong hold on that position, but it wouldn't be crazy because of the focus on technology development and their what they've accomplished just shows me that they're not going anywhere. And apart from the founder dying, Solana is just going to continue to be a market leader. And it really did. I mean, unless Ethereum has its shining moment ahead, and I believe it will, but let's just say it didn't. I think we could leave this crypto cycle saying that Solana had definitively outperformed Ethereum in this cycle. Wouldn't you say, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, you just have to look at the Solana to Ethereum chart or vice versa and just see that it has outperformed. I mean, I bought Solana at $12 again, same as in the last bull run. I couldn't believe my luck there, and then cashed out a lot of my Solana position. That was one that I really cashed out hard on at $2.90. I kept some, and that ended up being a good decision. I had a Josh-like moment for Solana there, but yeah, I do agree with you. It has outperformed Ethereum for sure.
Thank you. I agree with you. Daniel said, what coin will you recommend to buy for 2025? In truth, the coins I'm talking about now, I am recommending, I'm giving you the recommended buy prices on these right now. I'm giving you the stop losses on them right now. I will repost these notes in the Discord tonight so that you guys can have my all my information. You'll have it right in front of you so you can reference it after the show. It's if you don't know what the Discord is, it's my pro trading community, and it's the name of the show. All you got to do is add www to the front of it at www.stockswithjosh.com. Go check it out. These are the coins I'm recommending. Solana, and the current price is $173.82. The breakout trigger price is $180, and so this one's got a little bit more room to move up. The stop loss would be wider on it at $160. Now, the all-time high, I believe, is $295. Mark, can you verify that?
Yes.
And then also give me the local high. What's that?
Sorry, what's that?
Also, what's the local high? So the lowest projection for a move on Solana for this cycle high is a Fibonacci extension to the golden pocket, and that would be $220, and we already got that. The moving average mid-range projection would be 250, and I believe we got that too, didn't we?
Yeah, you nailed it. 265 was the top.
Yeah, so the
295 was
295. Yeah. So the interesting thing is that we've already booked two standard, technical predictive tools. We've already booked those highs behind us. So just keep that in mind. Now, the higher projection models, the AI ML model and the logarithmic growth model projects Solana to get between, for the AI ML model, 275 to 480, which is very possible. But again, these models require catalysts that we don't have. So I just want to repeat that. The technical models do not require catalysts. They're principally based on price action history. But these models require catalysts, the ML, AI, And for that to be achieved, they're saying that Solana would top out between 275 and 480. The logarithmic growth model says that Solana would top out between 500 and 1,000. And I genuinely believe that if we get those catalysts that we need from the White House and we see Bitcoin jump above 120K, I believe that we'll get into these higher models between 275 and even as potentially high as $1,000 on these. But that's yet to be determined. Real quick, what's your thoughts on Solana, sir? Solana, sir?
Yeah, look, I mean, you had the whole Libra token thing that happened. And then, of course, you've got the Solana unlock that's coming up. And I think that's generally these tend to be a little bit of a sell the rumor, buy the news, like we saw with Ondo a little bit. I mean, sure, Ondo did drop afterwards, but when the unlock happened, the price kind of went up a little bit and then came down. But they're unlocking $2 billion worth of Solana in March, March the 1st, 11.16 million tokens. So, I think that's part of why we're seeing some bearish price action at the moment. I think part of it is a little bit of a I think people feeling like, hey, the Libra token, the Pump.Fun, all these meme coin casino, it sits on Solana. But remember, Solana has a lot of great projects like HNT. I think Hive Mapper is on there, Render's on there, Virtuals has moved on there as well. And I think Solana is going to be around for many, many cycles. And just, like you said, Josh, about Solana possibly flipping Ethereum, if it did do that, it would reach $675 according to the crypto market cap calculator. And right now, if you'd asked me a month or so ago, I would have said, look, Solana probably $600 to $900, maybe $1,000. If you were to ask me now, I'd say, look, I'm more in that $400 to $600 range for Solana at the moment, just because the market sentiment, and just like you again said, that needs a catalyst. And right now we don't see that catalyst. Maybe after the unlock, there'll be something. And remember, there is a Solana ETF on the table, although the deadline for that is not until October this year. Now, of course, they can approve it before then, but that is where they have to make the final decision by. So maybe that might be approved a little bit sooner, and that might help. And again, some people say, well, Ethereum dumped after the ETF. Maybe Solana will as well. But remember, Ethereum pumped on the news of that and then has dropped. So that could be a catalyst there for Solana as well, but it'll be interesting to see what shakes out.
Good points, Mark. Super chat from Luis. Both of your insights have driven great profits for me. By the way, go U.S. hockey. I just want to say I love the neighbors to the north. I've got many good friends in Canada. Recently, hockey teams have been busting each other up. It's important that we continue to cheer each other on here in the Americas. I got a super chat from Jumpman. Thank you, Jumpman. I appreciate you. So I will do one more coin for you guys, and I'll throw the chart up on this one if you want, but you got to drop it in the chat right now. I'm just going through and thanking people. Pepe, sell price, target, please. Do you want to give your thoughts on Pepe, Mark? It's a tough space right now because the meme space, it's been so crowded and with so many celebrities like Trump and the president of the Libra coin. So many people have tried to take the spotlight, and there's just not enough liquidity to go around. And so Pepe was great months back, but I'm pretty leery. The only meme coin that I love that I think is actually showing great strength, and I'm not against Pepe. It's been a great performer, but this doesn't mean that this is the best one out there. I just particularly like Dogecoin, and so I keep an eye on it. I chart it, and if I'm going to take risk, I take risk on a chart I know. And if I had to choose, I've traded Pepe, made a ton of money this cycle. I haven't traded Pepe in a while, and I've sort of been cooled off on the interest on these meme coins. But thoughts on Pepe, Mark?
Yeah, look, I think with a lot of the, a month ago I came and kind of said that I felt that after the Melania token came out, I just didn't think that was good for the market and just all the bad actors that had come into the space. And I got out of the meme coins, and I was very public about that, just like you were very public about selling all your altcoins right at the top there. Perfect timing. And these charts all look very much the same. I mean, on the weekly, it doesn't look too bad. Obviously, you got a bit of a higher low, if that's anything. I'm looking for anything positive there. But there was a Fibonacci level that it found support at there. I think that's 5 zeros and 8. But if you've got meme coins, it's a tough call. You can either roll it into a stronger token, you can sell it and take your loss, or, if you bought a bit lower, you can sell in profit there, or you can kind of hope and just maybe dollar cost average out if there comes to be a little bit of life. But I rolled all of my meme coins into what I felt were going to be the stronger multi-cycle tokens, and that was Ondo, that was Sui, obviously that was Bitcoin, and the fourth one there is Tau. And Tau just got a listing. Potenza Tau just got a listing on Coinbase today, and has since the low, just the more recent low of around $200, it's shot up to around $465. So I do like Tau. 21 million supply, just like Bitcoin. It's mined like Bitcoin, has a halving like Bitcoin. And Barry Silbert, who told everybody to buy Bitcoin at $11 and started his Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, he is going all in on Potenza Tau. He started a new company. He's, of course, got the Grayscale Tau Trust. I think it eventually gets an ETF. So I'm bullish on Tau. Those are my 3, and Bitcoin 4 that I have rotated into. I didn't with Solana, obviously, because I sold that at the top at $2.95, and I obviously bought that at $12. But I still do believe Solana believer, and I'll continue to trade it. But those are my 4 that I've really rolled all my meme coins and other small, low cap, high risk coins into.
I love it. I'm gonna briefly show you guys the XRP chart. I just want to comment on it because it illustrates the charting that I gave you guys today. I just want you guys to visualize it. So look at all of these definitive levels where XRP bounced on this historic trend line. And of course, this big flash crash beneath, but then it recovered and came back and bounced on it again. And you can also see that this previous high was the area that we're currently talking about a breakout occurring. This is where the move up recently stopped. And it's also where we back tested previously a couple times before breaking down. So this is your triangle, right? And this is actually a bullish pattern. I could tell you that it wouldn't shock me if we stayed in this, and gave it more time before going higher. That could easily happen. But we are creeping up on this 350 level that I was telling you guys about. This is the buy signal, is to get back above 350, especially after having recently tested it and pulled back and made a higher low. Now, if we break back above it, we should have the momentum to go back to 340 very, very quickly. And if we break above that previous high, then it should give us the momentum to go up to 440. This is really, really, really basic charting. I'm going to draw one more thing for you, and that's a ascending channel. Ascending channels are actually bearish. It ultimately is bearish because, they're bullish as long as it stays in the channel. It's only bearish when it leaves the channel. And so that's why they call ascending channels bearish, is because price eventually leaves them and they give you a strong potential signal. When it left the channel before, you can see that it had a huge crash all the way down to $1.77. It recovered back into the channel. So if we move and continue to move up and break through the middle top of this channel again, it means we could get to the top of the channel, which could put us back to potentially a $4 XRP. And for whatever it's worth, a year ago, that's the top that I predicted for XRP, was a $3.95 XRP. And that's where the big test comes, because trust me, there's a lot of traders like me that will be looking at that as a possible profit-taking scenario in fear that that's the high. Can't get that far down the road, but because I didn't show you a lot of charts, I wanted to at least show you the technical overview of XRP, and really point out to you how strong this base was. And we have quite a bit of a scenario going here. And the first step is to break above 350 and then to break into the top half of this channel. And that's when the bull story should really continue. Having said all that, I'll just share this, that we could continue in the bottom half of this for a while still. But just remember, $3.50 is our signal to buy for the next move up. And it'll be that until we break above it or when we break beneath this channel. Those are the two areas. If we break beneath this channel, I'll pop up and do another crypto live video emphasizing to you guys what a concern that is. Let me ask one last time before I close up the show for you guys. Just take a minute who've been attending, listening. Hit that like for me. Appreciate that. It feeds the video out to more viewers and brings more people into the community. Mark, thank you for attending. We got a number of trades here shared with you. I'm going to drop all of my research into the Crypto Gems folder and share with you guys. These are trades I'm taking. So, and you have them well in advance. So you can go and chart them yourself. You can consider everything I've shared. If you're in the Stocks with Josh Discord, you can look over my notes and you can follow it and do what you want to do with your money. Thank you again, Mark, for joining me. Thank you guys for showing up, and thank you for all the likes. We didn't get over 1,000 likes on the video. It's okay. It's okay. Well, I'm sure that we'll get it. I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much for showing up. Peace and blessings. Take care. Good night.